Vlatka is focused on making things happen and getting things done. Just ask any developer in Five or designer. She's one of the most experienced Fivers, and now she's working as a head of projects for 6 years. But in the mobile industry, she's more than 12 years. Yep, long before many of you Gen Zers even had a smartphone. So in more than 6 years with Five, she managed budgets up to $1 million and across functional teams of up to 20 developers and designers, covering various platforms and integrations with third-party solutions. Just to mention a few Five's crown jewels Vlatka's been part of, that's consumer affairs, and you'll hear more about them in the session with Saad Khan right after the break. Then Ministry of Sound, Web Summit Conference, and Advanced Digital. Today, Vlatka will tell you more about our latest project, Moonlite, bedtime story projector for millennial parents, because, yep, millennials are becoming moms and dads, so good luck. Vlatka, the floor is yours. You have a mic, all set?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool.
Hello, hi. Thank you for coming. Actually, it's nice to see so many people on Saturday morning in our office. Yeah, so thanks, Svetlana, for introduction. So media has been focused a lot lately on a millennial generation, right? And basically, you can't help but wonder, like, do I belong to any of these generations? How many of these generations do even exist? Like, what's the name of my generation? So just out of curiosity, raise the hands, all of you who know what generation do you belong to. Like, what's the name of your generation? Okay, cool. Millennials are here. Thanks. Thanks, great. Yeah, so I also did my homework. So I found some interesting stuff about these generations. And for all of you who are born between 1977 and 1983, I have news for you. We are Xennials. I know that it sounds like a dinosaur generation, but we are not. We do exist, and no one talks about us, but we are here. And this is a micro-generation, I would say. So it's a generation that grew up between the Generation Z and the millennial generation, but we kind of experienced both, like the analog world and the digital world. So we all remember when internet entered our home, right? The dial-up sound in your ear. And then again, we are part of this experience with the digital world. We are talking and using, we are even building products like chatbots and audiobook apps. So we can't ignore the fact that these generations are defined, they exist, they have some consumer habits, that they are basically different from each other. And that's something that I find very interesting because I work with millennials, and here at Five, we also work for millennials. So you have to have that in mind because it's not just the generation, it's not just that you're selling stuff like some brands to these people. We are actually building products for them. So we have to understand their frame of mind, we have to understand how they think, what are their needs, what are their expectations. And this year at Five, we had one project that is called Moonlite. I'm going to do a demo a little bit later on. And behind that product actually is a client who is a millennial mom. So she came up with an idea. She has a 4-year-old daughter. She came to us and she said, like, this is my idea, let's do it. I mean, millennials basically are not kids anymore. They have kids. And we have to look at them like perennials. A new word, I know. So perennials are millennials who have kids. And basically, yeah, they are now in their early mid-30s, and they have kids. They are not that self-centered people who are doing selfies all the time or spending time online, so they grew up. And they spend their formative years in personal technology, and the result of that is actually that they are high information parents. So basically Google is for them like a new grandmother or grandparent, a nanny. So when they have a problem, the first thing they do is pull out the device and open an app, because there has to be an app for it, right? And then they will call somebody, a mom, probably. Another thing which is related to them is they often get confused about doing the things in the right way. Why? Because, well, they were overwhelmed with all those volume of information that they are offered with through apps, through chatbots, through chat rooms, and the internet in general. So basically, on the one hand, so they have all this information in their head, and on the other hand, they are being judged. And we have to admit, we did judge them, like, oh, those millennials. So in the end, what they did, they just rely on the technology. So this is why they are so addicted to everything that they can find online and the digital content that they have. Let's check some numbers as well. So according to some researches and data from Nielsen, today we have 80 million of millennials in US market. It's like 1/4 of total US population, which is not a small number. So they are all probably, you know, our next consumers, buyers of our brands. 40% of them are parents. So it's not just that they are parents, they are actually raising another generation of consumers that we also have to think about. And it all comes down to 1.3 trillion of annual buying power that all the brands have to have in mind in the next years for the future. So these people are something that we should think about, and they deserve this attention because we have to understand them. Otherwise, we are missing the opportunity to, you know, make the revenue and do the business in a successful way. I'm going to show you a short video, which will probably give you the whole concept of this app and the product. So Moonlite is a bedtime story projector. It consists of 3 parts. It's a projector, and there is a story reel also, which you're using when reading stories. We built at 5 an app that's being used also with the product. So let's just see the video first, and then I'll do the demo. Okay, so while I'm preparing the demo, I will ask for a little help from you guys. So 5 guys, turn off the lights. You know where that is. Yeah. And for those of you who are close to the windows, can you just pull down the blinds, please? Here also, thanks.
Just to set up the stage for bedtime story reading. Make sure you guys fall asleep too.
Sorry. Is it not on? Oh, okay. Here it is. Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell your mom not to call you.
What could go wrong with the demo, right?
Everything. relax. Happens all the time.
Okay, cool. So, Moonlight, story time. So it's dark. Okay, so I'll go through the app. Cool. I'll go through the app and explain a few challenges that we had, a few interesting facts. One first fact is that this project has started on Kickstarter. So what an interesting way, to raise money. No excuses. I don't have investors. I don't have budget. Like, go there, buy in some people and users who are interested in your idea. Our client actually presented the idea there, and they were planning to raise like $20,000. They ended up with $300,000 and 5,000 backers. So this is how it started. When we developed the app and were presented with the concept, we decided to come up with one character here. Her name is Luna. And it's a kind of a guided tour through the app, through the journey of storytelling. And she has some personality, so when she's bored, she falls asleep. We gave her certain characteristics, and her purpose is basically to help you throughout the process. For example, if I'm searching for something, she will tell me and do these expressions. She will also give me tips on each story, what the story is about. In this first version, I would say that this is like a basic character of Luna. But in future, we envisioned the Luna like even a little helper who can teach your kid an alphabet, who can educate your children. And although it's not a chatbot, it has its purpose, and it can maybe be a helpful reminder that your kid has to brush her teeth before going to bed. So it can be used in many different ways, and this is what the client also liked when we introduced the character here. Another fact here is that you see how many stories we have here, and it was also a twist for the publishers, because they had to open up to ideas that millennials have and provide their content in applications like these. They cannot help this content only for their own purposes, their own apps. They just had to, create a more open environment where they can provide content for a Moonlite app, for example. Let's go into one of the stories. Yeah, okay, so you see that once I turned on, entered the story, we get this screen and the flashlight is turned on. So basically how this works is that we put the projector on the device, we are using the flashlight, and it projects the image somewhere on the wall in your kid's room. This screen was very interesting and important phase of the project, because during the user tests that we have done, we realized that users were frustrated a little bit because they couldn't actually point, the projector on the right place. And remember, this is the iOS and Android app, and you know how Android applications, devices are. There are so many of them, they're different. They have cameras and flashlights on different positions, so it was like very challenging experience to, fit this projector on all the devices. So what we did, we said, okay, let's do this bullseye target, which will help users to basically, without any frustration, any problem, just point, like I'm doing now, and project an image on the screen. Sorry. Okay. I also can focus the lens, like the image, right? Sorry for shaking. And then we are changing the images. So we can enter the story. Now I'll use another little helper here. Yeah. Sorry. I can do it. Okay. So we have a background music, which is, like making your kid fall asleep faster, although it doesn't happen. People say they want more after reading stories like this. And they can basically interact with the sound effects. So we can try a few. Okay, next one. Okay, so yeah, it's for kids. It's very interesting. They get to participate, they get to interact, they find it very amusing, and it works like a magic. Okay, thanks. One other thing that I'd like to mention here is also a store. So can I be honest with the demo, So the items are sold out, basically. On online store, we are sold out, which is something that happened like last night when I was checking the demo. The product is available in US and Canada. They will probably launch the product next year in Europe as well. And the application will be a multi-language app, so we will have the stories in French, German, Italian, so on. And throughout this period of working on the app, I can say that it was very exciting, and the whole team was awesome, because basically what we did, we designed, we developed, the whole backend system is done by our end, the CMS, so the client basically manages all the stories through this. And another feature which is kind of nice to see is, I always say that millennials are kind of lazy, so they even have gestures, like if they don't want to tap, they can turn the pages just by doing left and right. I think that's it regarding the demo. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but I'll be around. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Vlatka.
you, thank you.
Do you guys have any question for Vlatka before we go for a break? Yes, you have a question. Vlatka, we have a question for you. Yeah, go.
Is it working?
It is? Why?
It isn't?
I mean, is it working? Are your kids fell asleep after it?
Well, there's a couple of parents here that have used the app. Maybe they are better to say. I mean, the kid will not fall asleep during that, but they are easier to get into the bed, So that's the fact which parents all, shared with us. Before, they couldn't, put their kids to sleep, or to bed. It was like, no, I don't want to go. And now they want to go because they are going to read the Moonlite stories. So that's one big step forward in that direction, and they love it.
But it's still a story projector, not a sedative for kids.
Yeah.
Another one? Yeah. Can we turn on the lights now? We're not projecting anymore. It would be great to see your faces.
Hi. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you can pull up.
Thank you.
Lines.
We can pull up the. Yeah, thank you.
Did you do the testing with the kids or with the parents or with both?
Both. So
can you describe a little how it looked like?
Oh, it was, as I said, we got a lot of frustrating, comments, especially because of the positioning, the hardware on the device. But I thank God that we did that, because basically now we sorted out that problem. So that user test with real parents, real kids, even the client helped us. So they found the parents with the kids. They gave the prototypes, the hardware. They even found there some flaws of the hardware as well. And basically, we collected so many useful feedback from them, what to improve, what's not clear. I didn't show actually the onboarding, but the Luna character, she guides immediately the parent or whoever is opening the app and explaining how it works. Because what user test also showed is that when they receive the package with the projector and story reels, they are impatient. They won't read any instructions. They just want to put that on their phone and try it out. You know, so you can't actually play on the card if we have the instructions, you know. It has to be smooth for them, so the minute they pull out this from the box and put it on their phone, on the app, when they download it, it has to work. So that was, for me, the biggest challenge, because we were constantly aware of that feedback, and we did those user tests in-house, in 5, and on the client side as well.
And were the kids grabbing the phone and wanted to do them by themselves?
So, yeah, they did, because it was too awesome, they want to click. But basically what happens is that after they see the projection, the slide on the wall, they're like, okay, they're following the story. So I tested myself, and that was like I was surprised with the fact that my goddaughter was like not taking the phone out of my hand like she usually does, because she saw some images on the wall and she was like, wow, what's this? And she realized that I was in the control, but she was touching all the sound effects.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank
you
you.
for all the questions, and
Thanks.
let's go for a break.